Listen, I know it was my fault.
You're
all
lucky
right? We don't need
dinged
to.
on.
I know
It was R. Kelly.
Listen, yeah, R. Kelly for sure. I was just like, I got blown up. I was laying there, and like the smell of like JP8 and urine was in the air. I was like,
Well, it
where's
definitely
the
was
pee?
R. Kelly. It was definitely R. Kelly.
What is up, 2A family? It's Whiskey and Windage, the 2A podcast for the people, by the people. I'm Matt. I'm joined by my co-hosts Adam and Mike. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Man, it's a good day. It's a good day. I'm excited. I say that every time for the podcast, but I truly am excited for today. This is a person that I've been watching for a lot of years, and I've learned a lot from online, and that's all I got, man. I'm stoked.
Man, I'm excited to get the homie on. This guest and I have had a couple talks through social media on different channels for a couple years. It dates back to some TV shows that aren't even in existence anymore. Talking about 2A TV shows and different calibers and all this stuff. Like, he is just a really cool guy, and I'm finally glad that we get to get him on the show. And he's always going to represent the company he works for, but it's kind of nice to see the guy behind the logo a little bit.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
So today we would like to introduce none other than Caleb Savant. Caleb, how's it going today?
Man, it's going great, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Dude,
Yeah,
welcome,
man.
welcome.
I mean,
We appreciate
we'll
you.
get into it a little later, but yeah, it's like, are you still tired from the weekend's activities?
Man, I'm exhausted. I am exhausted, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was a great time.
Oh yeah. So if for everybody who's not tracking on that, GunCon just finished up, and that was at the Brownells facility. So if you did not get a chance to make it this year, definitely keep an eye out. From all of the social media we saw, it was a packed house.
Looks like a good time.
It was a blast. There was a lot of new faces there, but also at the same time a lot of familiar faces. And as far as like people that just like regular attendees go, people that could buy tickets, they sold 1,000 tickets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
There were a lot of people there, though. I mean, they had the table up there. I saw all the content creators at the table, and they were all talking, so that was a good time. It looked like, I think I knew at least 15 people that were there that were just attendees that just loved it and had nothing but good things to say about it. It seemed like, cool shot show. You can do the big venue and meet other people, but this one seemed a little more smaller, but being able to still talk to all these people in the 2A, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Just being able to connect with just like people from around the area or people that, drove in, whatever, 10 plus hours, just being able to have a conversation with them they felt like you were super approachable because like we were literally all there for them. So it was awesome.
Dude, I love that, man. That's truly for the people, by the people, and that's what we're about. So I love hearing that. But Caleb, let's get into it, man. So everyone knows I'm active duty Army, so I have to talk about it because you're my Army brother. I know you've talked about it in the past a little bit in other podcasts and other interviews, but like, dude, let's talk about like your story, dude. Where did it all start you in the 2A world? Kind of started in the Army, correct?
It did, yeah. So like you can't really talk about me as a gunsmith without first talking about me in the Army. That's kind of where it all started. So yeah, I'll just jump right into the story from the beginning if that works.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I love it.
Let's go.
All right, yeah. So all the way back, I joined the Army right out of high school, delayed entry program. So I had joined like during early in my senior year. So got out the Army, got out of high school, right into basic training. Right at Fort Leonard Wood, I was a combat engineer. So went through basic, and then right when I got out of basic, I married my high school sweetheart. All right, and then we moved to Fort Bragg together. and got to my unit at Fort Bragg. I wasn't airborne, but I was in one of the Army's like first dedicated route clearance units. So you didn't really have to be airborne. But I was surrounded by people that were all airborne, so that was
Legs.
that was super depressing. Yeah, not only was I a leg, but
Legs.
I was a private, right? So it was
Oh
just
no.
open season, and that was back. That was like, I don't know how the Army is now, but that was back in the day when it was still pretty painful.
Oh, I hear it all the time. I'm not even at Bragg, but I'm a leg, and I hear it from all my airborne people around me every day. They remind you that they're better than you, quote unquote, all the time.
Oh yeah, all the time. Long story short, I kind of trained with those guys, my new unit for about a year, and then deployed to Afghanistan. And then I did route clearance in Afghanistan. I was a 50 cal machine gunner.
That'll clear a route.
That'll clear a route. Yeah. So we were just driving around looking for IEDs. Found a few of them the wrong way. I got first time I got blown up, truck rolled over,
The first time I got blown up.
Well, this is a So the first time I got blown up, we'll get to the second time in a little bit. First time I got blown up, that's a pretty crazy story, and we can go into detail if you want, or whatever.
We're here for it.
Okay, all right. So there I was, right, just riding down this route. We're in Logar province, Afghanistan, and I'm the when you're doing route clearance, the trucks are staggered on the road, and I was the second truck. We hit an IED. So I remember from my point of view, we just got off of a stop. EOD was taking care of some stuff, and then we started moving again. I open up my water bottle. I go to take a swig of water, and the water bottle's gone, and I'm surrounded by dust, and I get this falling sensation, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? So the truck's rolling over, so I have this falling sensation. I just grabbed the 50 cal and pushed it away from my face and tucked my head in, and just kind of rolled with the truck. And next thing I know, I'm laying on my back, and that was the first time I got blown up. There were some dudes I wasn't that injured, just like a traumatic brain injury, whatever. But there were the dudes, my buddies in the back of the truck were injured, so I helped pull them out the truck. We called a medevac chopper, and loaded them on the medevac. And I went to go get into my platoon sergeant's truck, and he stopped me, and he was like, "Oh no, you got to get on the helicopter." I was like, "Oh no, I'm good, Sarge." And he grabbed me by the helmet and looked in my face, and he was like, "You're not okay. Go get on the helicopter." Yeah. So then I got super scared, and I was like, "Something's wrong with me.
What's wrong?
Something's wrong. I'm going to get on this helicopter." So I ran. I got
There's
on. There's
no mirror in the middle of Afghanistan.
Yeah, there's no apparently I had I was bleeding from my mouth. And I had blood all over the front of my armor and stuff. So I apparently I wasn't okay. But no, so I got on the helicopter.
Hair was perfect though. Hair was perfect.
Listen, hair was on point.
The reason he didn't have head trauma, the only reason it was minimal is because the pomade
stuff up there, dude.
Second armor, it was beautiful.
I'm usually the one with the pretty hair around here, and I had to put a hat on because I'm like, Caleb Savant's coming.
Listen,
dude, you better the most dapper by happenstance.
You better know your place. Where that hat.
I knew it. I put a hat on, and I have asked these boys. I do have pretty good hair, but
oh man,
Caleb Savant's gonna let him have it.
You did.
Look, I appreciate it. Oh man, but so if you've ever been medevaced before, as soon as that helicopter lands, you're butt naked, everyone tears your clothes off because they're looking for injuries.
We sure do.
Yeah, so I got super naked real quick, and I just remember they were ripping my clothes off, and there's the helicopter, the prop's still going, so my clothes were blowing away.
Yeah.
And I was just they pulled the quick release on my armor, took my gun, and then my clothes are blowing out just into. I was like, okay, I guess I'm naked now.
Okay, they're supposed to put a blanket around you. That's our protocol. So yeah, I mean,
I just
no diddy.
I was just like, this is what we're doing. I'm going with it. Whatever.
Look, if your job was to pull off Caleb Savant's clothes, would you hand him a blanket? I think not.
That's a great point. That's
why Adam does what he does.
Combat medic love. Combat medics, we're special. We're a special breed.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, and turns out as I was, they kept me in I say a hospital. It was a field tent at Fob Shank. That was before they built the airfield there. Supposedly there's an airfield there now. but yeah, so I got super naked and I got super blown up that first time. And so as I was in the like hospital, they keep you there for a few days to just kind of like monitor you for like TBI and stuff. And so as I was doing that, my wife was also going into labor with my first son.
Oh my
So then
gosh.
like she gets the phone call like, hey,
Oh,
your husband was
gosh.
in an incident, and then like she's in labor and she's just like freaking out.
Oh God.
Man.
So yeah, that was pretty gnarly. But then they sent me home on R&R after that, and then I got to like see my new son and stuff.
That's
which
pretty
was
cool.
awesome.
Good.
Yeah, that
Silver
was
lining.
great. Yeah, so then get back to Afghanistan with the boys, you know. My platoon sergeant's like, hey, I'm going to put you in the back of the convoy with me so you don't get blown up again yet. I was like, all right, cool. 3 missions later, I'm on my back again. And I'm like, all right, cool.
You
And
promised.
yeah, it was terrible. So the first time I got blown up, we were listening to, I don't know, I think it was like Justin Timberlake's song was playing in the MRAP. And then the second time was Life of the Party with R. Kelly. So it was just super embarrassing all around. It was.
Oh,
I
no.
wasn't choosing the music, but those songs will forever have a special place in my heart now. Yeah. So the second time I got blown up, like I fractured my like my medial femoral condyle in my like my right knee, so blew out some stuff in my knee, which sucked pretty bad. And yeah, so after that, that they kind of started a med board process after they shipped me back to Bagram, then from Bagram to Landstuhl, and then from Landstuhl back to the States. And so yeah, that was my ticket out of Afghanistan. Unfortunately, was that blown out knee basically. So in my effort to try and stay in the Army, so this is where the story kind of evolves a little bit. I was looking for stuff to do. My first sergeant really liked me. Sergeant major liked me. So all that good stuff. They sent me to the promotion board, and I was just looking for other stuff to do to like try and get promotion points. So I went to armorer school. So I was my unit armorer as I was going through the at the time very lengthy med board process.
Yeah.
And there was actually like a 2-day period where I was like technically off profile. So like I went and re-enlisted, and even though like you're not supposed to do that. So
Hey, you weren't flagged.
exactly. I wasn't
Yep.
flagged, so I went in and re-upped. And so my like 2 days later, Sergeant Major called me in his office, and he was like, he's just like super hardcore dude. He's tabbed Ranger Sapper Airborne Pathfinder, just like what you think of whenever you think hardcore Sergeant Major. And he pulled me into his office, and then he was just like, "Nice try," and that was it. That's all he said to me. I was like, okay. I thought it was gonna be worse than that, but no. So he, I guess he just like appreciated the fact that he had soldiers that wanted to be there, so he didn't come down on me too hard. But yeah, so got med boarded out the Army. Me and my wife, and at the time now 2 sons, because this is about 4 years after joining. So we moved back to Louisiana to be around our family. And I was just looking for a job, and I went into a local gun shop, one of the larger gun shops in Baton Rouge, and I applied for a job working the gun counter. And they were like, we don't really have anything at the gun counter right now, but we got a gunsmith that's leaving in a few weeks. You want to like kind of see if you would fit in that role? And I was like, yeah, that sounds like something I'd be interested in. So my wife hated it at the time because I was a working apprentice making minimum wage with a wife and 2 kids, which
That's
not at all
good.
practical. No, it was not good. But they kind of put me on like a probationary period. Like you show that you're actually have aptitude for this, then we'll give you a raise after this many months and then this many months. And ended up getting those raises a little bit earlier than they promised, which was great because they were happy with what I was doing. And I enjoyed what I was doing. So at that point, I was just kind of traveling around, visiting with these older gunsmiths, just learning as much as I could, reading every gunsmithing book I could get my hands on. We can get into this a little later. I know I technically have a degree from Sonoran Desert Institute, but I actually got that like 3 years ago, and I've been gunsmithing since 2012.
Right.
So that actually doesn't really have anything to do with me getting into gunsmithing and becoming a gunsmith. I still tell people I'm a traditionally trained gunsmith. So
Well, I think
That's,
it's interesting because you're one of the few, and I know they're out there. I know they exist, but you're one of the few gunsmiths that I know or have met that are under 40 or 45 or 50. Like, it's so
It's
crazy.
kind of a dying art.
Oh, well, it's a dying art and a dying trade, but somehow over the last 25 years, I've joked that gunsmith has changed from a noun to an adjective. It's no longer a person. It describes a person. So it's like, yeah, oh yeah, I just put this drop-in trigger in my AR. I'm a gunsmith.
I'm a gunsmith.
And it's just
Careful
interesting. So I do appreciate the fact that there are still people out there that do gunsmithing. Like, it is a lost art.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And something I'll just kind of add to that real quick here, because I try and tell people this anytime I have a captive audience like I do right now, right? I'm kind of known here. Yeah, right. That's enough. But I'm kind of like known here and other places as like the AR guy, right? But I didn't even like really start messing with any ARs until I'd been gunsmithing for about 1.5 years, 2 years. I didn't own one, so I'd been gunsmithing for about 3 years. I was a more classical, traditional type gunsmith, and what I specialized in for the most part was fixing, repairing, restoring old obsolete guns that you just couldn't get parts for anymore. And
I noticed
where I
that
started.
about you. I noticed that about you. It's so I do want to ask you that. What do you feel like as a gunsmith? What do you feel like is the most challenging aspect of being a gunsmith?
So there's kind of two sides to that. Like, so the shallow side to that is just dealing with the manufacturers that don't really appreciate the outside gunsmiths. And when I say that, I mean they refuse to sell parts or things like that to not just the public, but to other gunsmiths. They want to do everything in-house with their team, which I get it. I understand why there's different liability issues and things around that, but America needs gunsmiths, and we got to support gunsmiths. And then the more deeper side to that is we're in a political climate where there's multiple demographics that just absolutely hate everything you stand for, and want you to not have a job. So yeah, there's two sides to that.
I feel that.
I would never insult a gunsmith by calling myself a gunsmith, but I'm a bit of a tinker, and I do my own stuff sometimes. But everybody's got a bad day on the bench. So, like from losing detents and little springs, or scratching a brand new nickel finish, like what's one of your most memorable faux pas or happy accidents?
Yeah, one of my
He's got one.
Fail.
I do, man.
Everybody does. If you've done anything, if you're
broke
in any
it.
trade, you have done something in your trade that you wish you could just forget about it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was working on an old it was a Merkel hunting rifle. Yeah, and it was a really nice gun. It actually it belonged
was.
to. Yeah, I mean it still is. It belongs to Will Clark, who is like a MLB Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, Gold Glove.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's down in the Baton Rouge area while I was working. He was actually one of my regular customers. Unfortunately, he stayed one of my regular customers after this, which is great. Super cool guy. But anyways, yeah, I was working on his gun, and I scratched his stock. It was a nice Turkish walnut stock, and I was taking it off. Screwdriver slipped, dug into it. It was a thin bit screwdriver, so it was sharp. It dug pretty deep, and I refinished his stock for free. There's a nice hand rubbed oil finish. Fortunately, I was pretty good at stock work, but
Adam's really good at hand rubbing.
Oh God, I was waiting for it.
Oh man, but
We can't get you out without some army jokes now. Come on.
listen, threaten me with a good time.
That's right. Hey, Doc knows how to give a good hand rub. Come on.
Hey,
So
every
it
time.
was it was a fairly valuable and limited rifle, along with also being kind of a celebrity customer.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, you got
Okay.
both worlds right there. So
All right.
yeah, yeah. He just like laughed when I told him, and I was just because I guess just because I looked so like destroyed.
Nervous
That-
about it.
Yeah, he was cool about it. Though.
That's
That
cool.
Yeah.
So Caleb, at this point, 'cause I know I build, I say I put together ARs. I don't build them. I put them together.
Perfect time.
This is my friend,
Oh God,
Adam,
and he's really cool because he is a
Gunsmith.
I'm not a gunsmith. That was a YouTube video a long time ago that I had to like.
I have been waiting on this.
Listen,
Yes.
I've been
listen.
waiting on this.
For what it's worth, okay. If you look this up in the dictionary, build and assemble or synonyms.
That's
So,
true. They are. They are.
All right.
So,
But we got to be careful how we say that now in this day and age with the way the alphabet guys are classifying that for all the
That's right.
garage.
yes,
That's right.
That's
The
true.
weekend warrior. So
But yes, Mike likes to use that little YouTube video I did
I've saved it
2
for
years
Gunsmith.
ago. I'm not telling you where it's located, but on YouTube there's a video that says I'm a gunsmith. I am not
I'll
a
send you a link.
But with that being said, I am to the point now. I am bougie enough. I know Mike is bougie enough. I have tons of D10 springs because I'm telling you, if I lose a D10 spring, I'm not getting on my hands and knees.
Order another one.
anymore. What about you? Like, is it to the point? Grab another one because I have a whole bin of them. I'm to the point where I will never spend another hour on my hands and knees searching for a D10.
Yeah. So I don't lose them nearly as much as I used to, fortunately, but you know they
Yeah.
still get away from me.
Oh,
I'm
they do.
I'm human, right? So like we cycle through, like every once in a while we'll have an intern that's a student at the local gunsmithing school, and they look for detents. I don't look for detents.
I'm about to say that. No, not happening. So transitioning onto let's talk about TV because I know you've been on a lot of TV shows, obviously, and it seems like there's a lot of 2A lovers out there. We have a big community, but on TV, it's like whether it's Top Shot, Bill Box, Brothers in Arms, these shows were great. I've loved them. I know Mike and Matt watch them, but they don't seem to last. Like hunting, fishing shows do somewhat well, but is there like a show that you think that we could get to help promote the 2A community, like in the future? Or is there something that you have an idea for, or like what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think when it comes to that kind of stuff, we have to be more united with it. You know, I feel like there's, someone will come out with a show, but then, someone wants to do something different with the show. So they don't support it. They kind of like boycott it. It all comes down to like us as a community being torn over the stupidest things where we
all
need to
the
be
time.
supporting each other. And I think that's the biggest thing that kind of kills it, because if we're torn internally, then of course, like politically, all those other entities that want to go after us, it's just easy picking.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Like I like golf, but it blows my mind that during, I don't know if it's a season, golf season, sure, whatever. There are people that sit in their chair and they watch 9 hours of golf coverage on a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah.
Or not to knock it, I'm in the South, but people will pay good money or they will sit, in their chair and they will watch cars go round and round and round in a circle 500 times. And hey, that's good. Great.
Cool.
I mean, it takes talent. I'm so proud for that. But it's like, man, shows like Top Shot was cool.
It
Bill
was.
Box, the premise was cool. I liked it at first. I don't know if it changed due to the audience maybe wasn't as involved. It just seems like shows like that come out and either, I don't know, maybe just our community is so, they have such short-term memory because the only place we really get content is social media. So we're trained 30 seconds to about 15 minutes is our max unless we're really invested. So I don't know. I really wish something would come back, but I don't know. I miss it. I wish there was stuff. I still watch Top Shot episodes to this day. If I've got Hulu, so I like go back and watch them, and there's some seasons incomplete, others that are, but I don't know. I just miss it. I wish there was something we could watch.
So that's another really good point too, because like what streaming services are going to carry this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like Build Box, you had to like wherever the Outdoor Channel was, which isn't a lot
Yes.
of streaming services.
I
so
paid
it's
extra on
very
Hulu to get Outdoor Channel just
Yes.
to watch Build Box.
Yes, exactly. So I think its availability is what, like, not just Build Box in general, but shows like that. That's what
Yeah.
kills them.
It's probably going to
so-
have to be like a YouTube television station where, like,
Right.
I'm not saying we're doing this, but like Brownells TV and like
Mhm.
Brownells
I mean-
basically does that. Or you'd be a great host. I mean, Colby was great on Top Shot, but I mean, Caleb on, I don't know, Caleb on a show like it as a host, it might be better. Pete, you listening?
Pete, where you at? Pete,
Where
yeah.
are you at? You're going to get a call in a minute about the alarm anyway. When you do that, watch this. We need a show.
Oh man, yeah. I had to go outside and wait for the sheriff. It was a whole thing.
Oh man, all for us. We feel honored. So, but you also mentioned about being divided in our community, and I want to talk about that because you hit that, and it's so spot on. Like I feel like there's so many other groups that are against us, and I've talked about this before in the podcasts that are organized, like Moms Against Firearms or Moms Against this. They might talk about each other behind their backs. They might fight, but when it comes to being online, when it comes to being in person, they unite. They don't backstab each other. And I feel like that's the problem. Our community is just, we belittle each other in the dumbest things on Reddit and on YouTube comments. And if we could just come together and fight that fight together, I think we'd be much stronger because there are a lot of us. But why we can't do that, I still don't understand.
Yeah, I mean it's insane because like there's groups and stuff like that on Facebook, and they mean well. There's a lot of well-meaning people in those groups, but then there's people that don't. And it's so easy to make fun of people online when you don't have to worry about getting punched in the mouth, right?
Oh, for sure.
The comments on YouTube that we get, oh man, they tear me apart all the time.
Man.
Yeah.
I watched your video the other day. I was doing some research, and I saw you reading all of the mean comments. Dude, I died laughing because it always reminds me of, I don't know which talk show host did it, and I'm not shouting them out because they don't give us a sponsorship. But when they would read mean tweets, that stuff is so funny.
That's what inspired it, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's what inspires everyone because literally you're a gunsmith and you could show people the correct way to field strip. I don't know, we'll pick something easy. Field strip an AR-15 and clean it. And within 25 comments, somebody who is or isn't a gunsmith is already telling you you're doing this wrong, or you shouldn't do it that way. You should do it this way. And it's like, man, really? Like, is that all we have to do in life?
It's
in your mom's basement and talk crap about actual gunsmiths.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's the worst part about it is that like, I'll be saying something, something technical. Another gunsmith said something that was a different way to do it, or something else that's also technical that didn't align with what I said. And immediately it's like, even though I gave the why with it, like, it's like, you don't know what you're talking about. This other guy said this. And then I go and look up that other guy's content, and it's, he just said it, but he never explained the why. So why are you going with his information whenever I gave you my reason behind? Like, it's just, it doesn't make sense to me. It's weird. It's just the craziest stuff.
Until 3 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Excuse me. I'm new here. I've only been doing this.
I'm new here. I don't know what to do.
Where do I put my hands?
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So, man, he's doing it. So, like, I said this offline, but, it really is true. So, again, Pete, Brownells and Caleb Savant have been, it feels like they're synonymous for ages, but you've only been there, is it 6 years?
It was 6 years in May.
Does it feel that way to you that it's only been, are you like, wow, it's only been 6? Or you're like, man, 6 years is like, it feels like I started just yesterday.
It does not feel like it's been that long. And it's crazy because when I first started here, I didn't start here as like a media person. I was just here as a gun tech. I had no social media, no any kind of media experience whatsoever. And it doesn't feel like it's been that long because like now I run the entire video department. I'm not just a face behind the camera. Like this is
I'm not just a pretty face anymore. I do it all.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, it's just I could shave my head tomorrow. I still have a job, you know. So
Dang. Please don't do that.
Don't
for
do it,
hopefully,
yeah.
I don't.
For
I may have spoken too soon.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that people would be awful sad if the hair went away.
Would it blow your mind if this was a wig right now? Okay, it's not.
So
Get show
Caleb,
you something breaking news.
oh no, we'd be the first. We'd be the first.
Oh no.
We'd be the one.
Here live.
Next,
So
on
Caleb-
video footage.
Expand on that a little bit. Like, so from just being a gun tech, like how did you end up becoming kind of the social media face of Brownells that we know you today?
Yeah, it just kind of started off as, you know, so Steve Ostrom is the guy that does videos here, the older gentleman.
Yeah.
He's
I love his coffee mugs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Steve's
Always.
a super cool dude.
Yeah.
But so yeah, at the time the guy who was running the studio, it was him, Steve, and then a few editors that worked in here. And Steve was like threatening to retire or something, so they started looking for somebody else. And so they walked into the tech room and just kind of looked around and was like,
You with the
You
nice
got the best hair.
You with
got
the face
hair.
and the hair.
basically. So like gunsmiths are kind of like car mechanics, you know, they're not known for being the most presentable people, especially
Yeah.
like from the South and stuff. So they were like, he's you know, he's actually like dressed nice. His shirt's not on backwards like
He
the
doesn't
other guy
have
sitting
on
over
his
there.
face.
So
He's got all his teeth.
I love it.
right. So
Yeah.
yeah, so they were like, oh, why don't you come do a video and we'll try you out, see what's going on. I didn't know they were like trying me out at the time. They were just like, oh, you want to do a video? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. So the first one was like I was putting a KNS like trigger and hammer pin retainer and an AK. I think that was the first one. It might have been like a power custom. I don't know. Anyways, it was an AK, some AK stuff. And
Those
that, I
AK
like.
things can get dicey, man.
Yeah, they
AK
can.
fire control groups they run on black magic and they're scary.
Yeah. So like Steve hates AK stuff, so they brought me in to do it, and I did it. I look back on that video now, and it's like the most cringe Brownells video ever shot.
I can't wait. I'm gonna find it and post it right here, a link to it, because that's great. Because I love
Yeah,
watching all
Down
that
in the
stuff.
description.
It makes me
Do
sick
it, man.
to see like where we came from. It's cool to like reflect now, but
It
like
is.
it's still like, oh god, they picked that.
Yeah. So it's that's
Well,
the video, and
Well, I'll
it
say
just
it. I'll say it so you don't have to. You're way better than that Larry Potter guy.
listen. I don't know who you're talking about. All right. Well, I'm not gonna like cause any like shots fired moments here or anything, but we get that a lot. So
Good.
We get that a lot.
yeah, they to my knowledge, he no longer does YouTube videos, and I mean the company itself does, but yeah, it's for they outsource most of their better content for good reason now. So
Well, yeah, because you can't put
I just like
that
again
moment
this
better in
this
the same thing. We're not shooting shots.
this isn't a shots fired moment, right? But you know, it's easy to be a gunsmith when you have a gunsmith off camera feeding you all the information. That's all I'm gonna say. So.
Love it.
I
Love
do
it.
that with these guys all the time. I tell them what to do. Not joking.
Exactly. I'm just a pretty
That's
face on
why
the camera.
it's always messed up.
That's all I'm good for. So, Caleb, I want to jump into, because you were at GunCon this weekend, and
That was
that to us is exciting because we love to cover shows right afterwards. We try to be one of the first to cover every show. So you were there, boots on ground. Give us your take, your experience from GunCon.
yeah. So I mean, it started off with the it was Thursday night. It was kind of like the VIP pizza party for a lot of the creators coming in, and a lot of the vendors went as well. And that's probably, it's like the least active time, but it's probably one of my favorites just because you get to see like everybody you haven't seen in a while, you know? And it's great because like, for that exact reason, even the vendors are excited to interact and stuff. And there's a pretty good pizza place here in town, so that's great too. But going in from that, the next day is the range day. And our range facility is absolutely awesome.
That's what I
So-
was most sad about missing.
Yeah, our range is great, man, and it's cool to see all the different creators out there with the vendors shooting a bunch of different guns, just all creating contents, and then like fast forward to the next day, which is of course, the GunCon day. And the coolest thing about it is that like all these content creators, most of them know each other, and those who don't know each other are like interacting with each other and talking to each other because all of these content creators are getting together and talking about what works and trying to help each other. Like the first time I met Twista was at the Gundy Awards. And I was kind of like I didn't want to like walk up to him and be like, "Oh, hey." So I was just kind of like, "Oh man, that's Twista, right?" And he saw me and he kind of did like a double take and he walked up to me and he goes, "Hey, you're famous, right?" And I was like, "No, not even a little bit."
Hey,
And,
Twista knew who you
Let
were.
me get that change
Yeah.
so I can go accept this award.
yeah, right. He was like, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you before." He couldn't remember where he saw me, but I was like, "No, I know I saw you."
It's just so cool to see that.
Yeah, and like he's obviously a pretty big famous dude, right? And he knows how to like make everyone else feel just as big as he is, and that's awesome.
Yeah. But also what I love to see, because we don't like talking politics and we don't like getting into race at all. But what I
Sure.
do want to say is what I think is amazing and what I think is awesome is people like himself, along with many others, bringing all different cultures and race all together because we're kind of allowed to say this. I can only take so many 60-year-old gray-headed white guys
Sure.
repping our sport. And so it is so cool to see how culturally diverse we are becoming. We're not there yet, but we are becoming. I mean, it's just really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100% with that. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome.
See, I don't think you would have been blown up either time had you been listening to Twista, but because it was Justin Timberlake and R. Kelly, I mean,
Listen, I know it was my fault.
you're
all right?
lucky
We
you
don't
didn't
need
get
to.
beat on.
I know.
It was R. Kelly.
Listen, R. Kelly for sure. I was just like, I got blown up. I was laying there, and like the smell of like JP8 and urine was in the air. I was like,
Well, it
where's
definitely
the pee?
It was definitely R. Kelly.
So Caleb, going back to the whole like Twista saw you, and is it humbling to this day because I know we went to Pew Party and we're nobodies. Like you are somebody in this industry still. We are nobodies, and I had people come up to me. Oh, I got a thumbs up there. Awesome. I had people come up to me like, "Hey, you're Silver Bullet," or "Hey, you're on Whiskey and Winch." I was like, "How do you know who I am?" Like I was humbled by that. I can only imagine like how you feel because when you go to SHOT Show or any other show or like people come up to you, is it a cool feeling to like know that people know who you are and they appreciate what you do for the community?
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's insane. So the last SHOT Show I was at, actually, so I ran into I saw him filming some videos, and it was Mag Dump Morgan, man, Clint Morgan
We
with
just had him
Classic.
on. We just had him
I
on.
know,
had him on.
I know you did, and like I've been a super like big fan of his for a while, and so I went up and introduced myself. I was like, "Oh, hey, I'm Caleb from Brownells," and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know who you are. We watch your videos all the time," and I was like, "That's crazy. I watch your videos all the time." So
Are we best friends?
yeah, so
we
like,
just
even
become
though
best friends.
we're technically competitors on YouTube, I guess you would say, but that dude's awesome, man. He's
I think it's
I'm
funny
glad to
because
say he's one of my buddies.
the correlation between both of you, he started out as some sort, I don't remember what it was, gun clerk, gun something, shipping
Yeah.
manager, whatever.
Right,
it was.
shipping. He was in shipping. Yep.
Yeah, and he took over as that, and it was like, hey, man, I think Ben's tired of, being the face right now. He wants to take a break. Hey, you look like you could be okay in front of a camera. Get over here. And
Yep.
it's kind of the same with you.
Yeah, and I mean, like he was a Marine, which is whatever, but it'd been
I
cool
mean,
if he was Army too. But
It'd be cooler, but
I mean, so from all indications, looking at all the pictures, hearing all of our friends, we talked to a couple guys, the 2A boys, Gun Camp, Tactical Turkeys, Sarge Mayhem, all these guys, they were all out there. And from all the pictures we saw, like GunCon was packed. I know that tickets on your website, it said tickets were sold out. I mean,
yeah,
was it, I mean, I know you're not going to downplay it, but talk about the crowds and, was it what you guys were anticipating? Was it more, what was that like?
yeah, it was crazy just seeing the line to get in the door to get the badge. Like we have a big parking lot, like our employee parking lot, not just our retail store parking lot. And it was just like people were spiraled up and down the rows, and they were getting in pretty quick. I mean, there was no like major holdups at the line, but it was just there were so many people, and they just didn't care that they were standing in line. Fortunately, the weather was great, so that I'm sure that didn't hurt any. And then going inside, there were people everywhere just talking, just wanting to talk to people, talk to vendors, talk to the content creators and stuff. And it was crazy. And the Brownells tours, there were some tours going on. So at one point, Josh, my buddy at Radian gave me some stuff, and he was like, "Oh, I want you to have this." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I fought him a little bit. I was like, "No, please don't give me free things."
Ow.
But,
my arm from Radian, yeah. No, I don't want to be free from Radian.
It was stuff that they were actually giving out to pretty much. They were handing this stuff out of the booth to anybody. But he made sure he brought me some, made sure I got some because I couldn't get over there. But I was bringing it up to my desk because I have a desk in our Grinnell location as well, and I sat down in the chair for a moment, and I was just like, I'm just gonna sit here for a minute. I just 5 minutes. So I just sat in my chair in the quiet, like the automatic lights had shut off. So like I'm just sitting there, and then I hear voices. Someone's bringing a tour through the upstairs. So I'm sitting in this dark, and like they walked by my cubicle, and like they just looked, and I was just sitting there, and I was just like, "Hi," and then our guy giving the tour was like, "So that's Caleb. He's
he never leaves.
He just does not this," and it was super awkward. And the people on the tour were just like, "Oh yeah, that's Caleb from videos." And I'm just like, "Yeah,
he's on the YouTubes, yeah."
Yeah. So have fun on the tour. It was nice meeting all of you. And then I was like, I need to go back downstairs. I need to.
This is awkward. I don't want this to happen again.
Yeah, I don't want once is bad enough. These people are going to be like, what's that guy's problem? No, it was I forgot what I was talking about before I went off on that little tangent.
It doesn't matter. It's awesome. We were talking about how big the show was and how packed. My follow up to that is, why do you think GunCon and all of the other, you know what, I'm gonna put it this way, why do you think GunCon and all the other top tier shows, such as, I mean, there's only 4 that I can think of. It's SHOT Show, NRA, GOA, and Brownells. So like those are the best 4 you can ever go to. Don't go to anywhere else, except Pew Party. Sorry, Jay. Why do you think GunCon and shows like that are so important to our industry?
Because at GunCon specifically, I get to sleep in my own bed at night. No, I'm kidding. That was a super selfish answer.
NRA, everybody. We're going to Iowa.
It's all very important because our industry is also very media based, and especially so. Speaking specifically, kind of towards GunCon for the most part with this one, it's really good for the people absorbing the information and seeing the faces online and stuff to be able to see us as human beings, and like, for example, I'll use Honest Outlaw as an example because like he's a great dude, but he's a giant dude, so he can be a little intimidating sometimes, right? So seeing him off camera, like if you look in his eyes on camera, so yeah, it's getting weird, right? So if you look in his eyes on camera, you don't get that same like, and this goes with anybody, not just him, that same like kindness of the eyes, that you get meeting someone in person.
Getting weird, man.
Yeah, it's getting super weird, but listen, that dude's got some good eyes, all right? No, anyways, but yeah, just being able to like see all these people you interact with online or in media, social media in general, as humans is great. Not only that, but seeing them interact with each other, being friends, right? Knowing that everybody's on the same team, they're leading by example, so that the rest of the community also can follow that example is extremely important.
You posted a reel the other day on Instagram, and it was the most calming reel ever that it just made me so happy. You were like, you had your tool set and you were taken apart, and it was just very like methodical, and you had the right tool for the right job. And to me, in my mind, the way my mind works, my OCD, I'm like, this is like bliss of just watching the right tool for the right job, and it was done so well. And I know Mike and Matt want to talk about this, but like obviously being a gunsmith, the right tool for the right job, how important is that?
It's extremely important. That's what separates the gunsmith from the not gunsmith, right?
Yeah.
The hack job. So
Not a gunsmith.
yeah, that's not what I've heard. But no, the right tool is going to make or break the job, and having the wrong tool can turn a 10-minute job into an hour job.
Yeah.
So it's extremely important, especially if you're gunsmithing to make money.
Facts. With that being said, so like, not to say out brands, but like, say you get a guy that wants to, because a lot of guys love to build ARs, they love to tinker with their stuff, and which is awesome. I love that. So, what would you be your recommendation for someone that's just new into like wanting to build their first AR or repair an AR? Like, what tools are the musts? Not mine is screwdrivers and the stuff that you probably have in your house. Like, what are those specialized gun tools that are the must in your opinion?
So, for any firearm work whatsoever, you're going to need a vise. You may not need it right away, but you're going to need it. If you're going to build an AR-15, if you're going to put the barrel in, you're going to put your castle nut on. If you're going to do that right, you're going to need a vise. That's it. That's all there is to it. But it doesn't have to be this fancy new Brownells vise, right? You can, if you're like, especially for your first time, just go to Harbor Freight, buy the cheapest vise you can find.
Love Harbor Freight.
It's fine. Yeah. And there's a lot of tool snobs out there. I'm a tool snob, but I understand whenever I understand the time you don't need to spend $1 bajillion on a tool, right? So especially for the like a lot of what I do is helping the novice, helping the first time builder. So I have to approach it from that aspect, right? And remember the times I was gunsmithing, making minimum wage, and the kind of things I was having to the kind of sacrifices financially I was having to make, right? Yeah. So there's some really hardcore AR build groups on the interwebs, right? And they're not gonna agree with what I say, because they have their gauges for every little thing. Like the box the upper receiver came in, they're gonna gauge that box and make sure it was in spec to ship that upper receiver, right? They get way too into it.
I can tell
so
that a tolerance already.
Right. Yeah. This box isn't the right shade of white for shipping and UPS, whatever. Anywho, don't let those guys discourage you. You can use the cheap, like Wheeler. We did a whole how to build an AR build series, and I wanted to use some of the cheapest tools I could find that we carried, just to show that you can do it with those tools. So that I didn't want to use all my Gucci tools in here. I have some really Gucci tools
right there, and you didn't even know it. Did you say I wanted to use cheap tools and say Wheeler?
Well, okay, hold on. I'm sorry, Wheeler. Hold on.
We're not going to use it against you. It's just great for podcasts.
I got friends at Wheeler. I think they'll forgive me, right? Yeah. So when I say cheap, I mean affordable. I don't mean cheaply made, right? So they make friendly. A budget friendly, yeah. So they make a AR upper receiver fixture that is super affordable, and it works, right? Now if you're going to build a super precision AR-15, maybe that's not the tool to go with. But if you're doing your first AR build, no problem. Get that tool. Right. It's gonna do what you need it to do.
Why is the price point $1 sign or $5 signs and nothing in between?
Nothing in between.
I have a vise, and I forget what it is. I think it might be I'm looking to see if I can see it. I think it's a Viper. It's a red screw down 4-post. It's a great vise, very budget friendly. But then I saw the vise that you just pulled out on one of your videos, and it's got all the different things.
I got it over here.
You look very proud.
I'm like, man, I had on the full disclosure, what I do with the Viper vise is I took an old belt and I cut a bunch of the leather up. So I put a piece of leather on the bottom and the top, so when I clamp it down, I don't scratch the finish on the barrel.
Yep.
But I looked at what you had and I was like, man, I've got to have that. That is so nice. And then I looked it up and I said, man, Caleb needs that. I don't need that.
Listen,
why are action vices so damn expensive?
So here's the deal when it comes to action vices, right? Let me just back up. So the Viper, the Viper bench rest vice.
It's a great vice, by the way.
I have one in here. Yeah, it's a great vice. Now, is that going to be able to remove like an old Mauser barrel or something that's been kind of like rusted into place or just over torqued from the factory?
Probably not.
Probably not in most cases, right? Not without doing some damage to that
without
barrel.
some acetylene.
Well, yeah, you're gonna need some extra persuasion, right?
Hold on, let
170
me do
pound
this.
Caleb isn't gonna be the one doing it.
I'm so
Um,
fat.
So
I'm up there
it's
with you,
just
Mike.
I'm just so
good. He just
you're
fat
not
shamed us too. He poor shamed us and fat shamed us. Keep going.
listen. It's not your fat. I'm too skinny, right?
I'm
So
just big bone.
It's all right, Caleb. Hey, someone has to represent. It's okay.
okay, well, yeah.
I've been working hard.
But no, so like the Gucci Vice I have in here, you see how it has all the different inserts for the to fit and contact the barrel on the full 360, right?
Yep.
It'll maintain full contact so that whenever you're torquing it down, your chances of that slipping are a lot less, and that's what kind of separates your cheaper barrel vices or action vices, whatever, from your expensive ones is the ability to do that, because they have to be held to a such higher tolerance that to manufacture them, it's just more expensive.
So Caleb, like as a consumer or even like a home tinker, there's a lot of stuff out there that's available and really like from the ground up. Like you can get stripped AR receivers and receiver flats and jigs for AKs and MP5s and other roller delay stuff if you're feeling up to the challenge. Advice from a professional though, like what do you think would be like your cutoff for someone who's maybe kind of new to tinkering guns? Maybe they know a little bit about it. Maybe they have done an AR before. Like, at what platform or spot would you say, nah, this one's probably better for an experienced builder?
So I wouldn't say there's a necessarily like a cutoff spot, but don't just let your first interaction taking that gun apart being the part kits you ordered from like Apex Gun Parts, right? Actually, like
Yeah.
get your like if you're gonna do something, especially like something that's roller delayed,
Yeah.
get your hands on that gun from another gunsmith, a buddy, whatever, that'll let you take it apart or take it apart with you before you attempt the build. Um,
Mike.
and a lot of the times, depending on what platform you're building, the initial tooling to do it right is very expensive. So that's also kind of an area you need to look into. Like I remember when guys were building AKs, they were using like the modified bolt cutters to set rivets, and that was
Still use 'em.
absolutely terrible. Yeah, no, that was like
They're still
looking
in
at that.
use.
I'm like, man, this is absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Just get the AK builder set and then get the Harbor Freight freaking press and just do it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gnarly, the areas people will kind of like cheap out on. I've seen trunnions set into stamped receivers using like machine screws, and I was like, this is terrible.
People have asked me about building an AK, and it's like, I've never built an AK. Like, I've worked part-time at a kit builder shop and have assisted in that process, but people assume that it's kind of like that all platforms are the same and you just poking stuff in and tightening an Allen wrench, and a lot of these other weapon systems are a pretty serious adventure, and you're not going to save any money by just buying a receiver blank and trying to put it together yourself. At that point, pay a pro who knows how to do it and has done a lot of them.
Right, and I got super fortunate with AKs. I know I'm not known as like an AK guy by any stretch of it, just because we don't do a ton of it here. But my old boss in the gunsmith shop was really good friends with Vince Buckles, who showed him how to build AKs. So like I'm like kind of like second generation learning that from. So like my old boss taught me how to build AKs, who learned from Vince. So
That's cool.
I feel pretty good. I feel pretty confident with AKs because of that.
I have a question, because obviously you've built lots of guns and you're knowledgeable, and you are the gunsmith of gunsmiths on YouTube. Like I will say that, I'll give you little flowers on that. But what gun right now are you looking forward to build for yourself in the future? Like, is there something that I'm like, man, I'm so ready to build this. I'm so excited, and it's for me. Like, what does Caleb want next?
Or caliber.
Yeah, so not too long ago, I acquired an old 98 Mauser Berno receiver. Actually, I say not long ago I acquired. I've actually been sitting on that one for a while, and I'm building a gun on that. I got a a Martini Henry, just the action that I'm going to build some cool single shot rifle in. I don't know yet. And then I also have a Mannlicher Schnauer action that I'm going to do something else in. I don't know. So those three things are high up on the list right now. I'm going to do the Mauser first. And I'm probably going to do that in like 257 Roberts or something classic.
That's
cool. It's going to be a little more traditional. A little, I just want to like, I've been doing so much like modern stuff and AR stuff lately that I need to flex to people that I can still do the classic stuff, right?
I love that.
I've got
he
one.
Is he is a 60-year-old man.
So Caleb, follow-up question. So awesome. I love that. But right now, obviously you've built a lot of guns. You have lots of guns. We ask everyone this. If tomorrow you could have 5 guns and 5 guns only the rest of your life, what are those 5 guns?
Oh man. All right. I'm gonna get my pistols out of the way real quick here. So my Browning high power, right? Just because that's my roots in gunsmithing. Sig 226, preferably the Legion, but it doesn't have to be. Okay.
I'm a 226 boy.
All right. Yeah. My 226 is my main.
Nice.
My
So
226 Legion is my main
squeeze,
gun.
baby.
That's my main. Listen, that's what's on my battle belt and everything. That's my
Mark
go-to.
25 right up there.
Yeah, buddy. All right. I didn't like you at first, but I like you now.
That happens a lot with Matt.
It
So
always
awesome.
happens, but the latter part never does. They never end up liking him. They just always do.
No, they're usually like, I like. No, I don't.
Yeah, that's just the 60-year-old in me, I guess. I don't know, whatever.
He's ornery.
Man, yeah. So just buy me some Metamucil and I'll be your friend forever.
High power 226.
Yeah, and we gotta talk rifles and stuff now. I wasn't ready for this question, but that's okay.
Oh, I
It's
know.
good.
Oh, that we don't.
I would hit you with it.
All right. I'm gonna need an AR of some sort, AR-15, right? I'm just gonna leave it vague because I'm not gonna pick a manufacturer because I don't like. I've never bought another manufacturer's AR-15.
What about a mod? What about like a layout?
Like a what?
How do you a layout of your AR?
Oh, okay.
Like what are we talking like a 20-inch dissipator? Are we talking 10.5? What are we talking about? Yeah.
I'll probably do like a 13.9 or 14.5.
Good choice.
So
Good choice.
one of those two.
Good
choice.
Yeah.
Just a happy medium. Nothing
Nice.
crazy.
All right. So high power 226. We got a 13.9 AR with a nice trigger in
A
it.
modern day AR, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah,
modern.
yeah, a modern like the AR that I would like put together today to do like a do-all general
Do
purpose
work,
type
yeah.
gun.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
Report.
I feel like I need a 22 of sorts, right?
I love
So
that.
let's do like let's get weird with it. Let's do like an old single shot, like Steven's favorite 22.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
let's being super weird. Yeah, with
love
like
it.
a color case hardened receiver, octagon barrel.
Ooh,
Nice walnut stocks on it. Yeah, maybe a half octagon just to be even more weird.
I love that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like I got to pick something long range now. Is where I'm
Makes
at.
sense. Makes sense.
You heard it here first. Caleb hates shotguns.
Oh, shotguns. Oh man.
Now
Oh,
we have time for the
no.
podcast. By the
Oh,
way,
no.
Now you heard it. He hates long range.
just so you know, title of the podcast is gonna be "Why Caleb Savant Hates Shotguns."
Oh man, shotguns. So yeah, I guess
his long range is overrated.
now I gotta decide if I
We'll
want to
give you
go
an honorable
short range or
mention.
long
We'll
range.
give you an honorable mention.
All right, I'll honorable mention the shotgun then. I'm gonna go long range for the official pick, right?
Okay.
And it's gonna be a custom rifle,
Okay.
but it's gonna be built on a pre-64 Winchester Model 70 action.
So what's
Yeah,
your
super
honorable
boy.
mention on your scattergun?
Oh man, I'm just gonna keep it super simple. Remington 870.
Yes.
Can't go wrong.
A vintage wingmaster though, right?
Oh yeah, like a
Yeah.
1970s Wingmaster.
Yeah. I got a gorgeous
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, my dad has a freaking sweet one.
So
Hell
Caleb,
yeah.
before we wrap up and get out of here, I mean, most folks know that they can find you at Brownells, but you do also
Sure.
a little bit of your own your own content as well. So plug where they can reach out to you or anyone at Brownells, but also drop your socials so everybody knows where to find you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, Brownells, Brownells on all the socials, AR15.com, that's us as well. Give AR15.com a follow. They're super cool guys doing the right things for sure.
Yeah.
And then me personally, it's for YouTube, my personal stuff would be just Caleb Savant, right? I'm just me there. And then Instagram, Baron Von Savant. Facebook is still just Caleb, right? So yeah, that's me.
Caleb, man, we appreciate you, brother. Like we said, hey, open invite back, brother. Until we talk again, appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
And once again, guys, want to give a big thank you to Caleb Savant for coming on. Guys, I don't know about you, but that was a fun podcast. What a great dude. Got to know him on a different level than just watching him on Brownells videos. And I don't know, what y'all got?
Honestly, I thought it was cool. He's kind of a closet AK guy, and apparently Caleb and I carry the same full-size handgun.
He went from hating you to liking you. Like he didn't like you, and now he likes you, and now you're like best friends.
Can we go work on guns in the garage? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Captain America at the Catalina wine mixer. Like, what freaking more do you want?
Oh God, it was a great show. And if you got to the end of it and you watched the whole thing, you guys know it was a great show. One of our best. We say it all the time, but really, he has an open invite to come back anytime because we have so much more we can talk about with him. And by the way, Caleb's funny, and I'm not saying I didn't think he was funny, but getting to know him more on a deeper level, he got jokes,
witty and quick-witted.
But
I mean, you can't make it as long as he made it in the Army and in the gun industry and, be as sheltered as you think he might be. This man has seen and heard it all.
No, he has. Well, guys, that's all I got. Before we get out of here, any closing remarks?
Let's go, dude.
Yeah, I got one. Anybody still listening this long? I guess 2 questions, like, why are you still listening is the first question. And then the second question would be, who do you want to see next? We're going to be...
Put it down in the comments.
You know what? I'm going to take a page out of Matt Carricker's book, and I'm going to become friends with Goldberg, and I'm going to use his tagline, and I'm going to say, who's next? So let us know who's next in the comments.
Heck yeah, guys. Let us know. Let us know if you, like I said, if you listen to this long, I'm not sure what you're doing here, but like I always say, stay dangerous, carry a weapon. We'll talk to you soon.